11 o'clock planned, and then things got kind of changed around a little bit. So just so you know.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, she doesn't care. In fact, she wanted you on this call with her anyways.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me. I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah, it was her suggestion to be like, oh yeah, and that's why I was like, oh yeah, it'll work out great that you're at 11. And then I've just been swamped, and I was doing the schedule last night, like at 9:30 at night or something. So, yeah, there were a few issues. Hi, we are live streaming, which is great. And what a crazy 24 hours. I mean, I know I woke up at 2 a.m. I woke up at 4 a.m. And not only from the topics we had yesterday on health, because I was triggered by the Alzheimer's and I didn't realize it until the middle of the night, but then having all the riots happen and all the disconnect and all the pulling apart. Do you guys have any opinions on what's been going on the last 24 hours? Do you have any thoughts from a higher consciousness, whether your own or somebody else's?
I mean, for me, I didn't wake up at all. I slept like a baby. I don't really tune into that energy frequency of when people kind of get all jazzed up about stuff.
Emotional energy.
Yeah, I'm not empathic that way. And maybe I just choose not to let it in either, right? I was thinking about this because when we were talking, when you had the topic of wealth, and one of the things that was coming to me was that, wealth, I think of it more as abundance, and that there's an unlimited amount. So there's not a finite amount, much like there's not a finite amount of love or anything else that's on the positive spectrum. So when people get nervous or upset about thinking that there's not enough to go around, that kind of, that happens on both sides. And I always kind of laugh because whenever I kind of try to ask the universe, like, well, what's going on with this? The answer I always get is, we're not concerned with that. The universe doesn't take sides. It's kind of impartial out there from what I can gather. It doesn't care who wins the football game. God's not cheering one team over another. And maybe part of that is because in a timeline thing of the human race, it's already they already know the answer. They already know how it plays out. And so these are just little skirmishes within a bigger picture. And so it's more important how we individually act and are responsible. Of course, the more people get together, then it creates a thing, which is why people who are empathic are picking up on it. But it really kind of it drills down to how you as an individual are handling stuff and reacting and what you're choosing to react to.
That makes a lot of sense. And with time, I was reading about time the other day, how they do these experiments, and they've discovered that the brain sees into we see into the future. We get flashes. We know what's happening in the future because time is so wiggly that it's all already happened. We're just finally catching up to it. We're just finally having the experience of what's going on. Right. And so a lot of I believe the idea of free will is we have the free will to respond to what's already, what seems to be happening around us, which has already happened. That's our free will, is how we want to feel about it. What we want to do about it versus control or manipulation of a situation or environment, which we really don't have. We're just part of a big moving organism.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is that we do have free will, but the free will determines how we choose to react to situation, what we choose to do with the information we receive. for me, it's always about we're all just, like that phrase, we're all just walking each other home, right? So we're all just on the path trying to figure out how to get back home. And what you choose to do your highest path for. So, if everything has a consequence and there is karma attached to things, then, which way do you want to go? Which path do you want to take? What do you want to learn from this time?
Renee, what do you think about all of this?
Okay, so I know this might be a little bit different from what we're talking about, but I think it's in the same area. I'm in a book club and we're reading the book, The Big Leap. And The Big Leap has to do with us succeeding, us growing, us getting better, and then us holding ourselves back. And I kind of look at so many things in the world as that, are we holding ourselves back? And what is this all about with all of this fighting? Are some people holding themselves back and some people not? Are there boundaries that need to be set? I mean, I feel like there's so many levels to all of it and so many levels to all of us. And so I know like one of my things is the shining thing. And I think that this maybe can relate to everything that's happening too. It's like, some people shine and some people want to shine. And then some people get jealous because other people are shining. And then you can belong to a group and they actually push you more to shine and grow and be who you are. And that's what I have found in my life is a few groups that push me and help me to shine. And so therefore I can choose the things that I want to choose and not be afraid of what somebody's going to think about it or say about it or do about it. And I just think that a lot of what's happening in our world is about shining or looking better or not looking better or holding ourselves back. And even sometimes for me, I'll get into like a confusing place and go, well, what am I supposed to choose? What am I supposed to decide on? And then when I think I'm going to choose with my heart and not with my head. And when I start to choose with my heart, that's when I choose the things that I truly want and that are usually the best thing.
Yep. That's a great thing too, is like, yeah, agreed. What grows us in the most positive way? What makes us shine? And we do hold each other back. I mean, it's human nature that we hold ourselves back because we don't recognize our own uniqueness and divinity. And so we think we're not worthy. Who do we think we are?
Mm-hmm.
Especially like, you guys know when I do readings and I get some really deep stuff sometimes. And then, it used to be kind of like, well, why would I get that information? Who am I that I would be able to tap into this crazy divine message? But then you kind of have to be like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? Why am I not? I'm special. Like if I have this, then, if whatever information wants to come through, then they're using me to be that voice. Why would I not honor that? So a lot of it has to do with honoring ourselves.
In the way. Yeah, that's where like our past gets in the way, I think. Those traumas and those unprocessed emotions. Because, I struggled for a long time because my mind wanted to do one thing, but my body was doing something else. I wanted to stand up for myself, but I was peeing myself at the same time and, cowering kind of inside. So, I would want something, but I'd feel like my body was weak, like it wouldn't let me follow through. And that's only directly related to not dealing with the unprocessed emotions on our physical system. And when we decide to work through those, then our bodies and our minds are on the same wavelength. What we want to do and what we can physically do are now working together. and you don't feel like you keep getting hijacked or betrayed by yourself because your body won't do what your mind wants it to do.
Right. I mean, and that's like when I had spoken before about, like, if you're going to try to do energy work or this kind of work, that you have to be in a good spot, right? You have to be working through that other stuff and getting it off your system and getting those emotions and those traumas worked through, because otherwise you're not in synchronicity with what's going on. Your mind's doing one thing, your body's doing another thing, and spirit's trying to talk to you a third way, and nothing is communicating. So, I mean, that's, to me, again, how once you get through that stuff, once you feel like you can have the tools to process it, then when you dive into the other stuff, it all really flows more easily.
I kind of look at it too as that it's kind of a heart-head connection, because so many times there were things that I wanted, but I had the head saying, oh no, you should. And so the shoulds were up here, and what I really wanted was here in my heart. And so I think for me, when I get the connection going between the heart and the head, and stop with the shoulds and start more with the love and the heart and the things that I want, and listen to that more, and then start to connect the heart and the head, that there's that connection, almost like that grounding, that balance. Now I have balance because I'm listening to both, but I'm listening more with my heart than with my head, because that's truly what I want.
What were some of the things that you thought you should do, or you should get, or you should attain? And how did that shift when you listened to your heart?
Well, first of all, I was a single mom with a set of twins. By the time they were 5, I was divorced, and there was all the shoulds. And I led my life with all the shoulds, because I should be a good mom. I should work. I should support us. I should work another job because there's not enough money. I should. And I never allowed myself to want, because that wasn't part of it. But I see other people getting through life easier. And I think that a lot of it is because they are listening to their heart more. So it was like always that drive, but then that drive drove me into, like smoking, not eating right, drinking. I mean, I could go on and on. So I think that when I finally realized that there was so much more, and I started to read, and I read books, and I, just started to study more, and I started to understand things more, and I started to, or at least I thought I was understanding things more, but I started to just feel a little bit better about me and some of the things. And I really believe it was not until I found the Gathering Light, which was like a lighthouse, which was 11 years ago, because I had no one to talk to, and because I did not know how to reach out and get help, because I thought that I could do it all myself. And I think as soon as we start to know that we can ask, that we can find a group, that we can, connect with other people, it's just like amazing, all the wonderful things that start to happen for you. And you start to know that my head and my heart, yeah, I can connect those. I am okay. I did a good job of raising my kids, even though there were like trials and tribulations and things in between that, made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So then I started to work through the shining part, because now I start to feel and start to see and start to know. But now I'm saying, but look at you. You used to be that. Look at you. You used to be that. And as soon as I started to say, you know what, it is okay to shine. You're not that anymore. You're a different person now. And so that's where my heart and my head started to, finally connect and get through, like you're talking about, getting through the traumas and the things that have happened in your life. And I think sometimes reaching out, getting help, and also finding a group, I think those are things that really helped me a lot.
You look like you've come, from your stories, you've come a long way. You've done a lot of your work. And when I know sometimes people don't know what doing the work means because we kind of use it casually. We're like, well, you have to do your work. The work is loving yourself. That's the work. The work is letting go of those beliefs that you're broken and that you're helpless, and starting to find the things that make you feel good and nourish you so that you've got the strength, you're not alone, to deal with the hardships in life. So we were taught that we needed to do this all by ourselves. And that's what I think schooling, our schooling structure taught us, you have to do it by yourself. It's your grade, it's your responsibility, which is just not how spirit or flow or anything works. We work by coming together, but we're so ingrained that we have to do it ourselves, otherwise it doesn't really count, that we keep ourselves off from all of the abundance that's there, all the wealth that's there, all the relationships that are there, the support that we need, because we're not supposed to do it by ourselves holding up the world. We're supposed to be part of a whole chain of people, a whole web of people, and we're just doing our part and they're doing their part.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice picture.
Yeah, so I mean, part of that then too is when you're talking about wealth is if you don't think of yourself as somebody who's worthy of abundance, which is what wealth is, it's either financial abundance, health abundance. When we limit ourselves and think, well, I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to win. I'm here to struggle because look at my life. My life has been nothing but a struggle. So clearly that's what I'm here for. Then what you say is that's for somebody else. It's not for me. Well, then you've kind of turned off the faucet of what the universe wants to pour your way, because you
here's
said,
here's the sneaky thing though. That voice is typically, we're not paying attention. We can't hear it because we've got so many other things that we're doing and it feels so uncomfortable. You know what taps me into that voice? When I do my TAT points, I can hear the underlying hum that, you're useless. You're no good. You're crap. You don't deserve this. I don't hear it until I tap into it or I do something that gets me to tune into the voice. And the first bunch of times you're like, it's that voice again. But I just let it say what it needs to say and get it off of its system without any judgment and just say, wow, well, thanks for sharing that. And then it feels better. And then the next time there's that voice again. And wait, I'm just going to listen to it and let it say what it needs to say. And then it'll feel better. And when I do that 6, 7, 8 times, it starts to feel better. It starts to not associate itself with, I'm no good. But most of the time we can't hear it because we're so overwhelmed and distracted.
Right. Here's the thing, though. Once you get through it, once you learn to hear it, once you let it say it, and then you show it that that's not the case because you've proven it wrong, it doesn't say it anymore. You don't,
right.
Not only do you not hear it, but it actually doesn't say it anymore.
Right. And
or
that's
when it
the
tries to say it, you
self-sabotage.
catch it. Yeah, exactly. And that's about doing the work. That's about figuring out that, that's how once you start processing stuff, then that little negative voice, which is not intuition, because that, intuition is always like a gentle nudge, excuse me, I want to tell you something. That's how intuition talks. But when something says, no, you can't do it, that's not intuition. That's the little crazy voice in your mind that's trying to knock you down. That's your ego talking. That's your past trying to come up to prove something to you. And learning to discern those two voices is when you stop hearing the other voice, or you stop feeling it, or you stop even noticing it coming up, because after a while it gives up.
Well, and we've neurologically in our brain detached from that pattern of thinking and attached to a new pattern of thinking. And every night when you sleep well, your body sends little guys into your brain that cleans up all the old beliefs that are not attached to anything anymore, that aren't useful anymore. And they recycle them. We get rid of those. And every time we remember them, we're setting down a new pattern. You know, it's not that all of this stuff is true. No, every time we think about it, we have the ability to change the pattern. It's not hardwired in. But it takes at least 3 days. A little neuron, what it does is it stretches out, and then it stretches out, and it stretches out until it connects with another one. And it's part of a different neural net. But it takes like 3 days to do that. You know, so we can't expect that finding who we are and loving who ourselves is.
It's not overnight. I mean,
no,
even with
it's a
the best of us,
shaping.
it's not overnight. Right. But the difference is once it happens and once you tune into it, then that's how you tune into the higher frequencies, the higher voices, the higher energies of where that abundance exists and why it's naturally going to come to you. You know, and
you see the big picture.
You get the bird's eye view, like Google Earth, where you zoom back up, and now you're looking down and you see. Oh, now, for me, what I've discovered too is that while that abundance frequency is available to all of us, we still have karmic stuff attached. We still have things like, despite the fact that everybody would love to be a millionaire, we're not all going to be millionaires. And we're never meant to all be millionaires because there's lessons we're learning while we're trying to get there. And that's a thing that, again, a lot of people think, there's only this amount of money and only a few people have it, and we want part of it. But there's not only this amount of money. There's an infinite amount of money. There's an infinite amount of wealth. There's an infinite, it's all infinite, just like love. There's no limits on it. So once you have that available to you and you understand that, then it's like, okay, well, how do I attract that? How do I let the universe know I'm open to that? And it's as easy as not saying no and saying, yep, I believe I'm worthy of it coming to me in however form it comes to me.
Yes. And noticing when you're not on that harmonizing path and making a choice to get back in the flow, to get back in the current with things so that you can get the abundance. We're standing, I was looking at my moon drum that looks like a moon. And it got me thinking about, we mistake the finger pointing at the moon for the moon, that little quote, and realizing that we get distracted by what we think abundance and wealth looks like. And we don't see that we're surrounded by it. And we just can't see it because we can't see all the interconnections or our pathway to get to it, or what we have to provide, what we have of value. In regards to wealth, when you work on yourself and you feel valuable, you don't have a problem going out and exchanging the value of who you are for what someone else wants to give you for that value, because it's just an exchange. And sometimes they give you money, and sometimes they give you chickens, and sometimes they'll fix your roof. But it's an exchange. Sometimes money is all somebody can give. They don't have time or other resources to give you. And so they give you money because it's an exchange for the abundance that you're bringing, the abundance of your genius, who you are, your value. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up on.
I just want to say too, that when I work with clients, I learn so much from them. And although we're exchanging money, I feel like sometimes I'm the one that's getting the better end of it. because we'll start talking about things, and this might be somebody that's got a lot of money, they have no confidence. Someone that doesn't have a lot of money, they have no confidence. Someone that has a lot of money and they don't feel worthy. Somebody that has no money and they don't feel worthy. So, I mean, it's like we all have the same feelings and emotions, whether we have a lot of wealth or we don't have a lot of wealth. We all have the same feelings and a lot of the same things going on. And we all need to kind of tap into how we figure out how to change that, how to change our direction, how to change sometimes our direction and our things that are happening is just a habit. It's a habit. That happens, I'm going to react like that. That happens, I'm going to react like that. So I'm just amazed at the people that I work with on so many different levels and how much I learn from them and how much they grow too, but then I grow from that. So that to me is really amazing. I think the more people I work with, the more I grow, and I'm just like grateful for that.
Yeah. And the disconnect, the hardest part I sometimes have is I forget that not everyone has had the same number of relationships or quality of relationships that I have that's allowed me to grow, like these riots, and I look back and I have to be like, no, that's where they are in their process. They just haven't figured out how to work with their system yet. And they have too many emotions that get in the way. But it's not that they're lesser people. It's just that they're in a different part of the same process that I went through, that maybe I was 30 years ago or 6 months ago or 2 hours ago. They're just in a different part of the process. And that divide of consciousness is sometimes I forget that they're not up here realizing that they're connected and loved and they can do something about it. They're still back here in panic mode and anger and hurt and aggression and helplessness.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things, I was laying in bed last night thinking about this, and I said, well, I kind of asked the universe, like, how do you want to explain wealth to people? And they said, how about you use the what if scenario? So that being, you say, I need a new car. And instead of saying, I need money so I can buy a new car, what if you just tell the universe, hey, I need a new car? And then you sit back and kind of watch how a new car comes to you. And maybe, and that, mind you, that's a big purchase, right? But maybe somebody is getting rid of a car and it happens to be in your price range and you don't need a lot of money to get it. And suddenly you have a new car. I look at like when I got my house, and it's like I wanted a new house. And when I moved up here to Wisconsin, and then it's like, I want a house with a yard, and where I was in Illinois, that was out of my price range. And then the universe kind of said, well, what if you move to Wisconsin? And what if you get this house that's actually bigger than what you had, with a yard, with everything you wanted, and it costs you less money than the condo in Lombard? So now I didn't need more money, and actually I got less money, and yet I got more than what than I asked for. So the idea with the universe is saying, what if you just tell us what you think you need or what you want? And then what if you just don't put any restrictions on how we bring it to you? And then that's abundance, because, what if you have a back pain? And then what if you find somebody who does massage and wants to do trades? And what if you, right? And so suddenly you don't need more money. You just need to be open to how experiences come to you. And that's abundance. When you have everything you need and everything you want, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get it, that's abundance.
So Kimberly has a question for you. She wants to know how you hear what the universe is telling you. She has trouble with the hearing part.
Well, for me, I don't actually hear a little voice. For me and how I work, I have a sense of knowing, or just a thought in my head. And I've learned that that's not random. So if I, say, I ask a question and a thought pops in my head as the answer, for me, that's the answer. But I've, taught myself how to do that. I've taught myself how to listen. Some people might get little signs, thrown at their way or symbols. Some people might feel their way through it. They feel like this is the right answer. Some people might actually hear something, or get a sense. It's all the different senses that you work with. And a lot of us think we hear it, or we have the idea in our head, and then we think, no, that can't be right. No. And so now the answer is just told, the universe has just told you the answer, and you think, no, can't be right. Mm-mm. And so you're just totally dismissing information. So it's really kind of a process of learning how to listen.
So she says and I'll tell you what I think about this. She says, Kimberly says she hears chattery voices a lot, but she doesn't know what they're saying, and it happens a lot. I have to tell you, Kimberly is extremely spiritual in a positive way. She's Jewish. She's got a beautiful, history of her religion behind her and the community behind her. So I have a feeling that she's always hearing these voices, but she can't hear what they have to say. And she's hearing lots of different personalities. I have a strong feeling she's hearing not just one voice, she's hearing lots of them.
Well, I think Renee can attest to this valuable information in that you're the boss of you. And Kimberly's the boss of Kimberly. So Kimberly gets to say, hey, if you guys want to talk to me, you guys need to take turns, and you need to only come on and talk to me when I ask, because we get to control the information. We're the boss. So if something's waking you up in the middle of the night and wants to talk to you, you get to say, I'm sleeping now. When I wake up, I'll ask to speak to you and you can come to me. And the universe and your guides and the people on the other side and all that stuff, they have to respect your boundaries. And so you get to be the boss. And when you lay down the law like that, and other people do, different techniques for however they want to control their space. But the universe kind of has to say, oh, so if she's hearing the voices and she can't understand what they're saying, then maybe she needs to say, listen, I can't have 5 people talking at once. If one of you wants to speak to me, you can speak to me, but not right now because I'm in the middle of driving and I don't have time to pay attention to you. And then see what happens. And be like, you know what, you guys want to talk to me? That's fine, but not now. But when I get home, I'm going to get a piece of paper and I'm going to write some stuff down. And if you want to talk to me, then you can come to me when I'm writing. And you get to lay down those laws.
Learning to set boundaries with everybody.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the biggest things one of the first things that we were taught when we started to hang out where we were hanging out at was that you are the boss of you. And I let that go even further and say, I'm the boss of me. I'm the manager of me. I am the director. I am in charge. I am the CEO. I am the pilot. And I think, I just tell this to people all the time, because when we know that we are in charge, no matter what area it is in our life, and stop pointing fingers and blaming everybody else in the world, or stop saying, oh yeah, I'm getting these messages, but I don't know what the hell they're saying. I don't know what's going on. And just kind of stop and say, you know what? I am in charge of me. Like you had said, Jennie, like, okay, when I have time, I will sit down, I will listen, and I will write everything down. When I, no matter what it is, it can be the littlest thing. I work with people that want to do like weight management, that they want to do like stop smoking, that they want to do more success, more confidence. They want to just feel better about themselves. And it's like, as soon as we know that we are in charge, we can start to be in charge. And so now what changes do I need to make? What direction do I need to go? Who do I need to, like I was saying earlier, what's going on with these voices and all these strange things that are happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I feel like I'm getting tapped all the time? Why don't I understand any of this? And so many times we just have to say, wait a minute, I'm in charge. This is my life. This is my body. This is my mind, my spirit. And as soon as I realize that, oh my gosh, I can just take charge. I can be in control in so many areas of my life. And Jennie, you said it really well. As soon as I hear I'm the boss of me, I go, yep, I know where that came from, because it is totally true. Totally true.
Well, the biggest challenge in my world was I would think those things, but my body would not agree with me. And that's mainly because I didn't know how, and I didn't believe that I deserved, or I had the right, or that it would work, or that it was the smart thing to do to take that time and love on myself. I always thought it was a luxury. It was selfish, that I was a good person if I gave to other people. The more I suffered, and I've been working with this one lately about tired. You know, as things are shifting and I'm doing more, I've been like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And I'm like, but that's not really true. You know how to not be tired. If you drink more water, you're not tired because now you're hydrated. If you, and we were just talking with Tina yesterday, and there's an exercise protocol where you can work out for 20 seconds and take a break for 10 seconds and work out for 20 seconds and a break for 10 seconds. And you do that for 4 minutes once a day. And that's, you know, what your system, it takes care of your system. It gives you energy throughout the day for the next 2 days. So it's not that I don't have enough energy. There's plenty of energy around me. I'm not using the resources that I have, and I can't see them because I'm so stressed out and freaked out that I'm going to be a bad person if I'm healthy and strong and comfortable, and people are going to judge me and everybody will laugh at me, and I'll lose everything that I have if I love myself, because then everybody will know that I'm selfish and self-absorbed and lazy and stupid. You know, there's all this stuff that swirls around.
Here's one of the things too. It turns out that I'm actually a better person. Well, I think, because I'm bossy and I like me. And sometimes people have to get to that place. Like mind you, I'm always bossy, so it's not the greatest thing all the time. But for the work that I do, it's beneficial. There's a reason I'm bossy, and it's because I need to be bossy in order to maintain my team, maintain the squadron that I have that works with me, and then I attract people who are also bossy. So when information comes through, it's because they've pushed their way through because it's important. And they know she's bossy, she's got rules, and this is why we're jumping in now. And, not everybody's going to be, it takes a while to get that confidence level. I didn't have it immediately. Like I said, when I first started doing readings, I thought they were all garbage. Even still, sometimes when I get information, I think, wow, that's really out there. That's good luck with that. But it's amazing how it hits the target every time. And that's because I've gotten to a place that I've worked to get to a place where I trust that that's the way it works. And I trust that I wouldn't be given this information if it wasn't my job to get it out there.
Right. And someone wouldn't have wanted to listen to what you had to say unless how you say it and how you presented yourself and who you are, it resonated with them. They understood it in some way. Because I see your bossiness as good self-care, mental and emotional health boundaries. You're setting boundaries, and sometimes we have to set them in a way that other people can hear us, because everybody hears differently. They're all distracted by too many things, or they're aggravated. Sometimes we have to be very direct, very firm for people to hear us. And that's not bad. It just means that that's what's required to communicate with them in order for us both to win and not for one of us to suffer or the other one of us to suffer, which is what women tend to do. We tend to be like, oh, either I'm suffering or you're suffering, you know, instead of like men who tend to move forward and be like, well, I want what I want. And that's just the way that it is.
Right. And here's the thing, that my personality trait may not work with everybody. Right. Obviously, we don't have to be everybody's friend. Turns out you don't have to be everybody's friend. But what it does do is it makes me successful in what I do. It also makes me on a level playing field with a lot of people, including men, because there's no questions about who I am and what I do, because I'm, you know, not necessarily on psychic stuff, but just in general, that's how I come across. And when you're working with men, they respect that. They like the upfront in your face kind of thing. Whereas women like to tiptoe around sometimes because they don't want to offend anybody, or they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or they want to play nice in the playground. And sometimes that doesn't work.
When I see playing nice as selfish. Many times as an empath, I play nice because it means that if you feel good, I will literally physically feel good. So it's in my best interest to make sure that you are in a good space, because then I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. That's just my empathic nature. And so it's, I'm always trying to get us all harmonized so I can be happy.
Right. But the flip side of that is true also, right? That if I'm happy, then you're automatically happy too.
Exactly. And that's my focus. I finally learned the only way I can make you happy is by being happy and in a good place myself.
Yeah.
And then because I feel good and I'm joyful, then it radiates out, it triggers your happy, and then we have a good time.
Right. So much like when you're talking about the riots and stuff like that, and talking about the energy on the planet and how people are picking up that. Well, if you tune into that aspect, the negative fighting between sides, promoting that, then you're pushing that energy out. And you can also do the reverse and say, I'm not going to get drawn into that. That doesn't serve me. I understand that people are upset on both sides. I'm not even going to go down that thing. I'm above that. And I'm tuning into this energy, and I'm happy, and I'm in a good place, and I'm having a great day. And that I'm not going to let that affect me. And yeah, if that's selfish, then that's selfish, but I feel good.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's got a different role, I think, in this big organism we're a part of. You know, and so some people's roles is to be so grounded they can walk into the prison system, they can walk into domestic violence situations, and they can be a positive influence because they're so centered. Whereas other people, maybe that's not what they're supposed to be doing as part of the whole. You know, they're supposed to be doing something else, whatever it is that you do. And you won't know until you keep polishing yourself and following your heart and following your intuition. That's when you find out what your calling is, for the most part, and how you're supposed to show up. And it's not supposed to be anything like what anybody else does. It's supposed to be your unique version of you.
You know, through this whole shelter in place, what I have said is, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do to be part of the solution? And I know that, first of all, I don't give the virus a name, because I feel like that gives it energy. So I just say the shelter in place time. And it's not like I'm ignoring that there's things happening, but I just know that if I am positive, if I'm sending out positive energy, if I am just being above everything that's happening, and I'm part of the solution. I just am. And I don't know what the solution is, but I'm part of it. And I know that I am. And as soon as I get sucked down into the negativity and everything that's happening, then I'm part of the problem. And I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution.
Although sometimes I have to cathartic out first, you know. I have to get the negativity off of my system. And then I can be the compassionate, loving, respectful, kind human being that I want to be. But I have to get those old feelings of helplessness and pain off of my system first.
Right. And I'm not saying that I can do that 100%, but I've also learned that done is better than perfect. So if I do it for the majority of the time, no matter what it is, if I do what I believe is right, and I can do that the majority of the time, that I'm still part of the solution. And yeah. I'm going to say that every once in a while that negativity creeps in, but it doesn't stay as long as what it used to stay within me. It stays for shorter and shorter periods of time because I can get rid of it faster and quicker and easier.
Right. I still Haven a lot. I still TAT point a lot. I still do all of those tools because things come to the surface, like the Alzheimer's the other day around my dad. You know, it comes to the surface. You don't know it's there until you're having that thought. And it's the opportunity to heal it, to love it, to reclaim that part of your soul, you know, instead of looking at it as something to get rid of. We only have a few minutes left, guys. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we hop off?
No, I think, like I said, really the message I was getting last night was wealth has to do with abundance, and abundance doesn't necessarily have anything to do with money. And just keep saying what if, and leave the possibility open to how that information, how those events, how those things you want show up. And, you know, have a little faith in divine timing. You know, we all want everything instantly, but sometimes, you know, when you find out if you just wait a while and you pass up on something that you think you want, it's because there's something better coming behind it. And they have to just get it to you, and you have to be ready to receive it. And you won't know that if you're just grabbing onto the first thing that shows up. So you try saying, what if, you know, I want this. What if I just say, bring it to me and send it to me in the best way for me. And then what if it's not the way I thought it was going to come in? Okay. Maybe it's better. What if it's better?
I love the what if. That is so nice. But I just wanted to show you one little thing. I just ordered some of these stickers. I had somebody make these up for me. And they're little heart stickers, and they say possibilitarian.
Oh, those are beautiful.
So I can peel this off and I can stick it on. So I can peel it off and stick it on my screen or wherever I want to do. So anyway.
Oh, is that cool? To remind you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
well, that's what we have to do.
I'll send a little card to somebody and put this in there. And I just think it's, it's just a cool little reminder for everyone.
Well, yeah, we have to surround ourselves with this stuff so that we remember who we are. You know, our ego gets so big sometimes that we think we're this fish in this river, and we think that the river is supposed to do what we want it to do as the fish. And it's really just not going to work that way. You have to be like, oh, there's a little eddy over here, and that's where I can take a break. You can't say, I need a break now. Give me a break right now. You have to be like, I'm looking for a break. I should start looking for a break. And if I start looking for a break will appear.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a believing that it's going to happen and then looking for the opportunity to show up.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
So if you guys could take some time and go back and look at, everybody has so many wonderful things to say and so many things to share. If you get a few minutes to go back and respond to everybody, that would be fabulous. And for the incentive today, I haven't gotten out to everybody. I've been a little slow this week. But for the incentive today, are you both willing to still do a session with people for whoever engages the most today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And
Awesome.
I will do a hypnosis session for anybody that's, the most engaging for the day.
Oh,
I think
thank you. Thank you very much. So I think that's it. Make sure in the chat you put your, where people can find you so that they can follow up and they can, work with you more and they can pick your brain and get to know you. So make sure you give your contact information out too.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's it. So at 2 o'clock, we've got the comedian Manny Garavito. He's hilarious. He did it while in his car last time because he forgot about it. So he propped it up on the steering wheel while he had to do errands. And then at 3 o'clock, we've got Antonio and Jennie. Antonio's the one who does the first rental properties. He's that Italian kid with the big springy curly hair. He's hilarious. And then Jennie's from Canada. So we're going to have the Italian and we'll have Jennie. And it should be a really interesting conversation about the rules around money.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. I'll see you guys later then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.